Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we'll talk about the difference between two very popular and very similar methods, forEach and map. I think this video will be useful for beginners or people who's just started learning JavaScript and wants to understand this difference more deep. And okay, let's get started. Like you see, I created array. This array includes product objects. This data is very similar with real data from real API. I think it will be more than enough for example, and let's start with forEach. Using our variable product, and after a variable we can run the method forEach. This method takes one argument, and this is a callback function, and this function also takes three arguments. First argument will be element, second argument will be index, and last argument, this is array. And after it, inside this function, we can transform the state of our array and change data inside. First of all, let's use console log and see what we have inside. Using method console log and display index, element, and array. I think we can remove array because usually we don't use last argument. It's very specific cases, but I think indexed and element will be more than enough. And now we can run our code using Node.js. I think you're familiar with Node.js, and I hope you have Node.js on our device. And now let's run our JS file. And like you see, we got all our objects and their index. Like you remember, in array we always start index with 0. And here's our first object. Like you see, it's the same object like here. And now let's do something more difficult. Imagine that we need to change some data inside our array, and this data will be status in stock. Like you see, we have different values in stock: true, false, true, true, false, and true. But we need to show that all elements have true status. And what we can do, like I said before, thanks to forEach, we can transform our array. And now let's change this property inside our object. Like you remember, first argument is our object, our element, and we need to use property in stock and new value true. Okay, we did it. And now let's check our array using method console log and do the same using Node.js to see result. And like you see, now each of our elements has value true in property in stock. Like you see, it's a very cool method, and thanks to this method we can modify our arrays very easily and change a large array with information. Okay, next let's try to use index. Let's imagine that we want to change three elements inside our array, and image that our price was increased and now our shirt costs 200. Let's remove and add condition if our index equal 2, because we remember that in array our data starts with 0. We want to change element property price and add 200. If not, we return empty string. Okay, clear our console and let's run our code. And like you see, now our shirt costs $200. It isn't the best approach because in this array we have ID, and it will be much better to use element ID, but I just wanted to show how you can use index inside forEach method. Like you see, it works the same. Okay, I think it's enough for forEach, and now we can move to map using our variable one more time, and now we will call method map. This method takes the same arguments, element, index, and array. I think we don't need array, we can skip it, and let's do the same what we do with forEach. Copy this code and run our app.js file. And like you see, we got the same results when we use map, and you can ask what's the difference between these two methods. The key difference with map, we always work with new array. And if we talk about forEach, we worked with the same array and we mutable the data. For example, let's add a new variable, call this variable r, and using not run our code. Like you see, we got new array, and this array includes empty strings and 200 because we returned empty string and 200. Let's change it and using spread operator and get all data inside our previous element and create new object using alt object. And if id doesn't equal 3, we'll return object. Okay, and run our code. Like you see now, everything works correctly, and we got new array with new objects. It's especially popular when we use some liberty like React.js, because React use immutable approach, and thanks to map we can always work with new data. Now let's try to do the same with forEach, and like you see, we got undefined because forEach doesn't create a new array and returns nothing. It's the key difference between map and forEach. Map creates new array, forEach works the same array. And now using map, let's image that we have one more task, and our task to show names of our products. Thanks to map, it's very easily to simplify the object inside our array. We can remove all our code and using just object and properties that we want to show in new array. Like you see, we get array, and this array includes all names of our products. It's a very popular approach, especially when we need to simplify our objects and or get some specific property or combine these properties. Like we can get not only name, we can get each of our properties, like we can say please give me ID, name, and price. Add dollar chapter, and let's run this code. We got mistake because I forget to add our element. Let's do the same, and like you see, we get a list of our products with ID, name, and price. It's very cool because thanks to this approach we can change format of our data, doing different operations with our data. In the end, I want to show one very important thing that we can use with forEach, but we cannot use with map. Thanks to this ability, we can work with lists of nodes. It isn't very popular thing, but sometimes we need to use this ability, especially when we don't use frameworks like Vue.js, Angular, or Liberty like React.js, and also when we work with legacy code, this ability sometimes is very useful. And let's open index HTML file and create a list of elements. Add some dummy data like product 1, 2, 3, and add the same class. And now thanks to JavaScript we can get all these product items. Create new variable, call this variable products, and using document query selector all, because we want to get all products and using our class that we created before. And now we can work with each of our products using forEach. Use forEach method. Like you remember, it takes 3 arguments. We'll be using element and index. And before we started modify our HTML, let's open the browser and see what we have. Like you see, we have a list of product, and now let's modify this data using our forEach. For example, we can add some other text like this product and index, create new variable with our text and connect index. Okay, and now we can use our element. This is HTML node element, and we can use different methods like inner HTML. Let's use inner HTML and change all text inside these elements using elements and method or HTML. Add our text. Let's see what we have now. Like you see, nothing was changed because I made mistake. I wrote products, but our class are product. Let's see, and like you see now everything's okay, and we got our text, but it starts with 0 because, like you remember, inside array each of our elements start with 0 at 1, and now everything's fine. And like you understand, we can modify our elements like we want, and it's very useful in very specific cases. Okay, I think it's all for this video. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and see you in the next video.